Oh, Canada, thank you so damn much. You, I'm sure, have heard that last night the Liberal Party in Canada was able to secure a victory. Now, right now, it may seem like a slim margin in that the Liberal Party, now led by Mark Carney, who Donald Trump hates, who's a fucking genius, who ran the England, the Central Bank of England, as well as Canada, really good guy in a crisis, will stand up for Canada, which will help us, the rest of us in America, because we are on this continent together and we depend upon each other. And no fucking way is Canada going to become the 51st state. This is a fantasy of Donald Trump. He wants to be an invader and a dictator like Vladimir Putin and, frankly, like Adolf Hitler. And I just want to say there is no one who says it better than our friends in Canada. And by the way, Prism mates, Prism, Prism, friends on this show. We have Canadians among us. Fuck yes, including our friend Philip. So we are all in this together. But I'm not a Canadian voter. And so I want to share with you my favorite Canadian voter. Take a listen.
Who I voted for would be the best to take care of Trump, because Trump is, I'm sorry to say, an ass, and he shouldn't even be president of the United States. But because he is, we need a strong person so that we could stand strong.
I love that lady. I guess they didn't think she was going to be throwing around the curse words. But yeah, Donald Trump is an asshole. And all of us in the world know it. Fuck yes, Canada. That's what I have to say. Oh, Canada. And by the way, I think I have disclosed my grandmother was born in Canada. I have a ton of family still to the south, Canada in Windsor, Ontario, which is to the south of Detroit. And I love it there. So yeah, bridge or tunnel, I will travel to Canada when I choose. Right now, I'm going to kind of stay on this side of the border. I don't want any trouble coming back in for any reason. But fucking yes, Canada. So let's just be clear what has gone down here. Canada operates much more like England than it does like the United States. So they, like us, have a bicameral legislature. They have the House of Commons and they have a Senate. They, however, don't have a separately elected president. So let me just be clear how this goes and how it's going to work for Mark Carney, and then we're going to hear from him. So, like our House of Representatives is like their House of Commons. And in their House of Representatives, I think they have like 343 representatives from these areas that you and I might call districts. But Philip from Canada calls them, there's another word for them, these districts, that is kind of funny. And so Philip is going to remind me in the chat. Oh, it's called a rider. I remember, RIDER. Okay. So they have these districts. They're called riders. I'm going to call them districts. And you get to vote for your member of the House of Commons. Now, just to be clear, you're voting essentially, though, you're not voting, let's just put it this way. This is like the federal elections, right? Because they have their provinces, like our states. That's different. But they don't literally vote for a person. They vote for a party. So let's say I live in Philip's rider. Philip and I are next door neighbors, and I might vote for the Liberal Party. Or if I'm feeling more Trumpy, I might vote for the Conservative Party. Or if I am in Quebec, maybe I vote for the party that represents more francophones, and on and on and on. So there are a number of parties you could vote for in the House of Commons. And the party that gets the most votes, right? So it might be a majority, it might be the most votes among all of them, is going to get to form what they call the government in the House of Commons. Now, think of this kind of like when Nancy Pelosi was Speaker of the House, right? They don't have a Speaker of the House. Literally, what they have there is the Prime Minister. So let me kind of make this super clear. But their Speaker of the House, their Prime Minister, has so much more power than ours would. So let's say this. In the situation last night, the Liberals, we know, secured the most votes. There's no question, but we don't have all the votes in from Canada, so we don't know if they have an actual majority. Why does this matter? Same fucking reason that it matters in our House of Representatives, right? The actual majority gets to choose. They don't get, well, let me just put it this way. The one who has the plurality gets to pick their prime minister, right? So no matter what, as long as the Liberals want Mark Carney, he is going to continue to be the prime minister. Remember, he came in only when Trudeau stepped down. Then he ordered a snap election because he thought there was going to be some power among the Liberals. Now, boom. This is huge that the Liberals are going to have Mark Carney leading. He's going to be the prime minister. But the problem is, if they only have a plurality, if they don't actually have more than 50% of all the riders, of all the districts, right? If they don't get to 174 votes, then they're going to need, in order to pass legislation in the House of Commons, some cooperation from some of the other party leaders to get shit done. No big deal. That happens all the time in England, not as common in Canada, but they'll fucking deal with it. Now, friends, you might say to yourself, what about the fucking Senate? When are the Senate elections? They're not. Their Senate is like the British House of Lords. People get appointments there. And now you might say, what the fuck does the King Charles, have to do with stuff? I'm not exactly sure. I think he's more ceremonial. And my understanding is that there's some kind of, Philip, correct me if I'm wrong, but there is some kind of governor of Canada who is appointed by the King with the advice of the prime minister. And I guess she's been in power for a while. And I think when you pass legislation in Canada, you need to have the same piece of legislation passed by the House of Commons. So that's led by the Liberals, right? That's Carney. He gets to, his team is in charge of getting legislation passed. And you've got to have that appointed Senate also agree. And then I think it gets rubber stamped by this governor appointed by the King. Holy shit. Is that way too fucking much that you wanted to know about how Canada gets shit done? It may be. It may be. We can talk some other day about parliamentary systems and why they can be good and bad. I think they look a hell of a lot better right now than what we have going down. So, guys, I think you want to hear quickly from Carney himself to see how he feels about his victory. So let me share a screen, and I think let's do this. I'm getting this from the New York Times, so we get a short clip. Let's play it.
Who's ready to stand up for Canada with me? And who's ready? Who's ready to build Canada strong? America wants our land, our resources, our water, our country. Never. President Trump is trying to break us so that America can own us.
No!
That will never, ever happen. That is Nepean. That is the spirit of Nepean behind me right there.
So, guys, let me explain to you for a second why it might be that you're seeing all red. A little quirk. In Canada, the Liberals wear red and the Conservatives wear blue. So yeah, go fucking figure it out, guys. I'm sorry. That's why you're seeing so much red. Okay, guys. So let's be clear. This is good for all of us, but let's move on to what is happening here in America, because we have got some good stuff. Now, I got to start with Stephen Miller on Fox News. And guess what? We're just going to share a screenshot of this guy because he's so unctuous. I don't want his ears, the sounds that come out of his mouth, to come into your ears and violate them. So we will just look at this still photo of Stephen Miller. And why I just want to laugh out loud is he's on Hannity, right, yesterday, and he is trying to share with Sean Hannity of Fox News, all the great stuff, he thinks that Canada, sorry, I'm stuck in Canada, all the great stuff that he thinks Donald Trump has done for America. And guys, I mean, can we just walk through this? This is funny as F. Okay. So, okay. guys, oh my God. This is hysterical. So we've got top thing. This is Stephen Miller. The top thing that Donald Trump has done. And this, by the way, I didn't make these graphics. This is Fox News putting this up. Declassified the JFK files. Okay. Portions had already been declassified. You know what? I'm sure all of America was waiting for that to happen. What else is a major accomplishment that Fox News, I mean, if they're touting this, they're morons. If not, they're totally trolling. The graphics people are totally fucking trolling him. Second thing, ended federal support for paper straws. Friends, I fucking hate paper straws. Let's be clear. I'm not a paper straw fan. And I noticed if you go into Starbucks or other places, they've now made lids for your iced coffee so you can just sip them anyway, right? But anyhow, and we have metal straws at home. Okay, fine. I avoid straws. But this is at the top of his accomplishments, ended federal support for paper straws. I mean, how much fucking federal support was there? I'd like to know. Okay, the third thing, ended production of the penny. Really? Have they not heard of penny wise, pound foolish? But seriously, yes, I know pennies are made of copper. And maybe people weren't using that many of them. But I'm letting you know this was not on the list of my priorities. But if you have some pennies, maybe hold on to them. They're rare. Okay, what the fuck else? You're going to love this. I'm going to blow this one up. Can't stop laughing. The other accomplishments, and look at Hannity in this shot. This shot I think I got from Aaron Rupert. This is a screenshot he chose. President Trump's accomplishments, additionally, renamed the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. Are you kidding? Guys? Rescinded dozens of Biden's executive orders. Which ones? I mean, dozens of Biden's executive orders and instead put in place your unlawful ones and impose steel and aluminum tariffs. How are those tariffs going, guys? Anyway, again, I'm laughing and I am in such a spirited mood because if this is the best Fox News can give of Donald Trump's accomplishments, that's, I mean, they're trying really hard. And it looks like a Saturday Night Live sketch or a complete troll. So we are, I think, in a healthy place. And I got to say, I never thought Fox News would be a fan of Alexander Solzhenitsyn these days. Remember, the simple step of a courageous individual is not to take part in the lie. And my friends, Fox News appears to not taking part in the lie, right? They're not up there saying Donald Trump had 200 tariff deals when there are only like 97 countries and no deals. Fox News is laying it out there. And Stephen Miller didn't look particularly happy, although he never really does. Now, what am I excited about today, guys? Now, I'm excited about the fact that we're going to get out there in the streets and that maybe we'll even get to 20 one day Republicans who are willing to kick this douchebag out of office, Donald Trump. But I think I did the math and you only need 2/3 of the senators present. So like if the House impeaches, then it goes to the trial in the Senate, you would think needs 67 senators if all 100 are there. But if I did the math right and maybe 10 Republicans don't show up and 10 vote to convict him, we're good. And not only that, if none of the Republicans show up for the vote, then we're good. So if they're too cowardly to show up, they could get rid of him. Now, I know I'm dreaming, but it's not about the dream. I don't actually believe at this moment in time there are Republicans who will do this. But what I do believe is we should shame them because this is on the Republicans. If they stepped up, this guy, this authoritarian menace, moron, mendacious, malevolent moron again, just wreaking havoc on the United States, on our values, and on the world economy, this man could be out. So I blame the Republicans. But let me just say, I think we have an opportunity to look right now to what our choices are. If Donald Trump were gone, right, we have to get rid of J.D. Vance, and that would probably have to be in the polls. But unless somehow J.D. Vance is also impeached, in which case this gets complicated, then it becomes Speaker of the House, who at that point hopefully would be Hakeem Jeffries. So that ain't happening, even though that's the dream. So let's just imagine a normal future where we would have a presidential election, right, in 2028. Let's just imagine that. And here's my slogan for that campaign. JB is better than JD. Why? Why? Let's look at JD Vance. On the left, shakes the hand of the Pope. Pope dies in less than 24 hours. And let's look at J.B. Pritzker shaking Biden's hand. Biden had the most successful presidency in our modern era. He did much more than progressives ever thought he would do. Biden is a hero, and he did step down at a time, maybe it was decidedly was too late, but the man is someone we should, I think, revere despite where things are right now. So when I say J.B. Pritzker is better than J.D. Vance, may I share with you? I would like to share with you some video of J.B. Pritzker giving it his all, and essentially, it appears beginning to launch his campaign for the presidency. Let's fucking go.
What I find ironic about the current conversation surrounding our party is that the voices flocking to podcasts and cable news shows to admonish fellow Democrats for not caring enough about the struggles of working families are the same ones who, when it comes to relief of the struggles of real people, have been timid, not bold. They didn't want to fight the health insurance companies and the drug manufacturers. They didn't want to demand an increase in the minimum wage or require paid family leave. They gave in to the powerful hedge fund managers and tech bros whose blind pursuit of profits is now destroying everything that matters to middle-class families.
Keep
From
talking.
homeownership to
Keep
healthcare
talking.
to veterans benefits. They told us to ignore the fact that most Americans can't afford a vacation while they're young or retirement once they're old. Here's the problem with the do-nothing crowd, now telling us what to do. Well, they spent their years watching Republicans illegitimately pack the Supreme Court, take away voting rights from people of color, systematically chip away at the constitutional order. And all the while, they offered, in response, a simple defense of norms and decorum and a blind hope that one day soon, Republicans would wake up to find they're better angels. Well, that got us exactly where we are today.
True.
So, folks, the reckoning is here. And now that this culture of timidity is on full display, those same do-nothing Democrats want to blame our losses on our defense of black people, of trans kids, of immigrants, instead of their own lack of guts and gumption.
Preach. There's more.
There are plenty of people in this country who hold opinions that I find abhorrent. But my faith and our Constitution dictate that I fight for their freedoms as loudly as I defend my own. And as a Ukrainian-American Jew who built a Holocaust museum, whose family immigrated here as refugees from the Russian pogroms, let me say this to Donald Trump. Stop tearing down the Constitution in the name of my ancestors.
Hell yes. Yes.
Do not claim that your authoritarian power grabs are about combating anti-Semitism. When you destroy social justice, you are disparaging the very foundation of Judaism. When the pendulum swings back, and it always does, you will have contributed to the climate of retribution that will inevitably follow.
You know how many times that I have said that, my friends. And I'm so glad J.B. Pritzker is getting up there and claiming back the values of Judaism from the wicked grasp of Donald Trump and his anti-Semitic, racist, homophobic, transphobic, awful, awful people who don't want America to be about shared prosperity for all. Now, one more clip from JB, who is decidedly better than JD. Here we go.
It's time for us to be done with optimism about their motives or their objectives. Time to stop wondering if you can trust the nuclear codes to people who don't know how to organize a group chat. It's time to stop ignoring the hypocrisy and wearing a big gold cross while announcing the defunding of children's cancer research.
Oh,
and time
nice.
to stop thinking that we can reason or negotiate with a madman. Time to stop apologizing when we were not wrong. Time to stop surrendering when we need to fight. Our small businesses don't deserve to be bankrupted by unsustainable tariffs. Our retirees don't deserve to be left destitute by a Social Security Administration decimated by Elon Musk. Our citizens don't deserve to lose health care coverage because Republicans want to hand a tax cut to billionaires. Our federal workers don't deserve to have, well, a 19-year-old Doge bro called Big Balls destroy their careers.
Oh my God, he went there.
Autistic kids and adults who are loving contributors to our society don't deserve to be stigmatized by a weird Nepo baby who once stashed a dead bear in the backseat of his car.
Oh, yes.
Our military service members don't deserve to be told by a washed-up Fox TV commentator who drank too much and committed sexual assault before being appointed Secretary of Defense.
Oh, you go.
That they can't serve their country simply because they're black or gay or a woman. And if it sounds like I'm becoming contemptuous of Donald Trump and the people that he has elevated, it's because I am.
Oh my God. Go, go, go. The more people who speak the truth, the better. And what is so important right now, and I say this to my fellow Michiganders and to Elisa Slotkin, if her staff is listening, don't go the way you're going, Alyssa. She seems to be trying to punch left. We need a big tent. The suggestion that, when you say, well, all of America is a certain way, deal with the fact that we have a big tent and all of America cares mostly about living our lives with dignity, having the well-earned prosperity that we should share as members of the still most powerful, wealthiest nation in the world, and the idea of self-governance, participating in the decisions that affect our lives. That is a vast majority. And that is a vast majority of people who vote, as well as those who do not vote. And the idea right now of ignoring what's here in front of us ever since the financial crisis of 2008, which is fear and worry about our well-being And the efforts recently by the Republicans, it's contemptuous to decide that you are going to scapegoat anyone under the category of woke as if being awake and aware is a bad thing. What has happened to our military and to the FAA since they supposedly were purging anyone who was woke? How is that fucking going? Didn't they just lose some kind of airplane in the ocean? I mean, my God. My God. There is a better way to go about bringing us together as a nation. But the better way is more sophisticated. It requires tempering the worst natures of people who are ultra selfish. And that's always a hard thing. And idiots who just want to bang their fists, who are sort of Neanderthal brains like Donald Trump and Stephen Miller and many of the people around him, Tom Homan, not all of them. Some of them are sharp as a razor, but are still like Scott Bessent is smart, but he is getting himself adjacent to power and willing to look the other way and essentially lie to the American people. He may not consider it lying, but the smart people around Donald Trump are in it for either their pocketbooks or their egos. They're no longer in it like the last Trump administration to be at least the adults in the room. There are no adults in the room. It's only babies, toddlers, teenagers, and rapacious ne'er-do-wells trying to get a dime, to trying to get more power out of this atrocious anti-American situation. But let me tell you how I truly feel. Now, I'd like to give you some reactions from a roundtable on CNN to the message that JB Pritzker is putting out there. Let's play it.
Elon Musk, let me be very clear, has been shutting down, trying to shut down the phone lines that people use to call into Social Security. He's talking about calling our seniors fraudsters, talking about cutting the $65 a day that seniors get in Social Security, while he funnels $8 million a day in federal contracts to himself. Look, they might try to call it legal, but I think...
I gotta show you some body language here. I want you to look. This is Greg Cesar, and he is a Democrat from Texas. Caitlin Collins, host here on CNN. Look at her body language. She's pulled all the way back, leaning back on her elbow, off balance slightly on that chair. I've sat on chairs like that. This is not a receptive posture at all. Could it be because she was, let me just stare at you. Could it be because just the other day, Caitlin Collins was hobnobbing around at the various White House correspondent dinner parties and was spotted cozying up to no less than or no greater than Scott Jennings. Yeah. So when you see her in this posture, let's go back to it. Her leaning back, it's her suggestion that she doesn't like what Cesar is saying. So let's play that.
$8 million a day in federal contracts to himself. Look, they might try to call it legal, but I think when the story is ultimately told on this, Elon Musk has been illegally using his undue influence running the White House to funnel billions of dollars for himself. That's theft. That's corruption. And I think that any other country looking at us goes, oh my God, what happened to America? How are these billionaires being allowed to have such enormous conflicts of interest while they run the government?
Well, a lot of that question.
By the way, there are people in the chat suggesting that Elon Musk is no longer at the White House. He's no longer in front of the cameras, my friends. He still has huge influence. He still said he's going to spend 2 days working on this. Now, I'm sure there are people who would like to get rid of him, get him out of that place. Don't think for a minute that what his values are, what his influence has already been, and he is, and people like him still pulling the strings, whether it's Vladimir Putin or Elon Musk or Peter Thiel. We are not in control of our own government now. Just a fact. And yes, Elon is never going away. And that is why I want to share with you now something that isn't my favorite to share. And then I'm going to get back to something good from Hakeem Jeffries. So I want to share with you right now, speaking of the nuclear codes, I'm sure that you probably heard about this yesterday. And this was a story that came out last night from NPR. And let me just share this with you. And I think we can take a listen together ourselves. So the news broke last night that some Doge employees, yes, those teenagers and 20-year-olds brought in by Elon Musk, gained accounts on classified networks that hold our nuclear secrets. Last night, there was an update to the story where somehow we're supposed to believe, just at the word of the people in the administration, that they were given access, but they never logged in. I'm sorry, given access, but never logged in. Isn't that the equivalent to say that, yeah, I was around marijuana, but I didn't inhale? No offense. No offense meant to you, Bill Clinton, although I have things to say about him. Okay, let's play this story about our nuclear secrets.
The Department of Government Efficiency has made it a priority to gain access to computer networks across the federal government. NPR has now learned that Doge employees have obtained accounts on 2 sensitive networks used to transmit detailed information about nuclear weapons. Joining us now to discuss this revelation is NPR science and security correspondent Jeff Brumfield. Hi there.
Hi, Juana.
So, Jeff, just start by telling us who at Doge gained access to these networks.
Right. So according to 2 sources who do have approved access to the networks and aren't authorized to speak to the press, the Doge employees in question are Adam Ramada and Luke Farador, and they appear to have been given accounts on classified systems at the Department of Energy, which oversees the nation's nuclear weapons stockpile. Now, Farador is a 23-year-old former SpaceX intern who's kind of a Doge super user. He's had access to many computer systems across the government. Ramada is not as well known. He's reportedly a Miami-based venture capitalist who's invested in SpaceX, and we should say SpaceX is Elon Musk's company, and Elon Musk is running Doge. But neither of these people appear to have much experience with either nuclear weapons or classified information. The sources we spoke to saw their names in a user directory, and my colleague, Jenna McLaughlin, spoke to a third person with knowledge of the situation who described any access as a, quote, toehold in the system.
Jeff, do we have any sense why these 2 were given access?
You know, we don't really. In a statement sent to NPR, the Department of Energy initially denied the entire story. But in a second statement sent hours later, they acknowledged that the 2 Doge employees did, in fact, have accounts on these networks. But those accounts were, quote, never activated and have never been accessed.
And we should trust them.
DOE said these individuals were only working at the agency for a few days in February. But as I said, our sources saw the names in the classified network much more recently, over the past few weeks, in fact. And it's still not clear why these individuals had the accounts that they did. These are completely isolated computer systems. They're only accessible on a designated terminal inside a secure room, and those rooms are specially designed for classified work. It's not like, somebody hit reply all to an email and boop, they got a classified network account.
I want to understand more about what's on these networks, Jeff, and why it's so important that they're being kept secure.
Yeah, these 2 networks are used to transmit really detailed information about nuclear weapons and nuclear materials. The first one is known as the National Nuclear Security Administration Enterprise Secure Network. It's used to send restricted data between nuclear weapons laboratories and production facilities around the country. The second network is run by the Department of Defense. It's called SIPRNet. It's used to communicate with the Department of Energy about nuclear weapons, and it's also used for a lot of other secret information and communication with other agencies and departments as well.
So, these accounts existed, but Energy Department spokespeople claim that they were not ever used. But I do have to wonder, Jeff, if Doge was on these networks, what exactly could those staffers see?
Yeah.
Sources I spoke to, some of whom worked at DOE previously, told me that even if you have a security clearance, you can't see everything or even much of anything on these networks. The classified information is all need to know, and you really have to have a reason to get into the files. So there's no evidence that the 2 Doge employees had access to restricted data on nuclear weapons. But again, the Department of Energy says the Doge team hasn't used these accounts. But even if that's true, just their very presence, the fact that these names were on the network, that seems newsworthy. And that's why Jenna and I reported the story.
NPR's Jeff Brumfield.
Yeah. So do you trust these people? These are the same people who also told us Elon Musk wasn't the administrator of Doge. And even if this is true, what the actual hell? And who else? I mean, they're saying these people didn't log into the accounts, right? Did someone else? Was that login information shared with anybody? And this is a disaster. This is something where, I mean, this makes Watergate look like it is a garden party. And I just don't know what it will take for people to say enough is fucking enough. Now, with that, my friends, I do have a fabulous crazy town for you. I think after this, we kind of deserve it. Let's go ahead and play. Oh, fuck. I can't do the crazy town. I promised you to play some Hakeem Jeffries, because what I want to make clear is that when JB Pritzker is talking about some do-nothing Democrats, I don't think he's talking about Jeffries. Let's go ahead and play.
Healthcare is under assault by Donald Trump, Elon Musk, the administration, and rubber stamp Republicans in the House and in the Senate. These people, these extremists, they want to take healthcare away from the American people. And they know that their constituents aren't here for it.
That's right.
Which is why Republicans have been on the run during the last 2 weeks during the district work period. Democrats are leaning in to town hall meetings all across America. Republicans are running away from them. But now there's a moment of accountability. And in terms of this FMAP proposal, it's all part of the same scheme. They want to end Medicaid as we know it. They're going to hurt children, hurt families, hurt seniors, hurt people with disabilities, close hospitals, shut down nursing homes, and people will die. This is a matter of life and death at this moment, which is why it's all hands on deck.
So I just want to make it clear, everything that our leader, Hakeem Jeffries, if you're a Dem, who is the House Minority Leader, he is spreading the message, whether he's inside of the House, in the chamber, or he's holding a press conference, or he's on the steps, like we saw over the weekend with Cory Booker and others, talking to people. He is doing what he can. And now, my friends, let's do Crazy Town. So what I want to say is, we've really been knocking Elon Musk, and we haven't even talked about Tesla and the Tesla takedown efforts and how his stock is plummeting. Poor Elon. And so I thought we would get an opposing point of view live from Crazy Town. Here we go.
Tesla is not the enemy. Tesla is an American company, praying peace, prosperity, and protection in the mighty name of Jesus Christ, God's Son.
Okay. And with that, I will send you off to have a lovely, lovely Tuesday.
Hello, prison mates. It's the Gen Taub Show. Well, welcome everyone. Let's learn about what is happening in politics yesterday and today. There is hope, and we are together in this democracy we work for. And again, welcome to the Gen Taub Show.